Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name's Janice. I'm so happy to be back here this morning to welcome you and bring on Caverly Morgan. Good morning, Sangha Live community. Thank you for saying hello. So nice to see so many familiar names. And if you're brand new, welcome. You are joining a thriving community. So I'm just going to go over a couple quick announcements before I bring Caverly on. So Caverly Morgan is the meditation teacher who's been doing this series really for months now, since the pandemic started. She's been offering this meditation for Monday through Friday for weeks. And Caverly is a dear friend of mine. She's also a colleague. We work together at Peace in Schools, which is a nonprofit that she founded based in Portland, Oregon. And she also is the creator of Presence Collective, which I'm also a teacher of, which is a growing collective of teachers, healers, sages, practitioners that are practicing and offering teachings into the world. So Caverly is a mover and a shaker. And just a couple of announcements of different ways you can practice with Caverly and the Presence Collective community. So one announcement is about the summer retreat. So up until this past week, we've been advertising that Caverly was going to be part of and hosting a week-long online retreat, which is normally in person. But the update there is that the group of teachers offering it have decided to not have a week-long retreat and instead have a one-day event focused on anti-racism, specifically for white folks. So it's a group of 4 teachers. Caverly is one of them. And that decision comes both because we think 5 days is a lot to take away and to be online at this time, and also because those particular teachers, that's what's lighting them up right now. That's the topic that they feel moved to address as white people. How can we address our relationship to whiteness? And all of the proceeds of that event are actually going to be going to Radical Dharma, which I know Caverly has talked about before, but that's Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. She is one of the authors of that book and leaders of that movement. So those teachers won't be profiting off of those teachings themselves. So that's one update. I'll drop a link in there. It'll be July 25th, and it's, again, a day-long event. So that's going to be really exciting. I hope you can make it. And then in the short term, I wanted to just announce that today, Michelle Cassandra Johnson, a teacher through Presence Collective, is offering a webinar. It's donation basis. The theme is, oh dear, I have too many tabs open. The theme that Michelle is leading is practicing in the present moment. Michelle is an incredible teacher. She is a Black woman who's been in the yoga and wellness world for decades. She's an author, and currently the Peace in School staff are in a year-long training with her as one of the facilitators. So comes highly recommended. It's happening today at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please join if you can and support her work. Michelle Cassandra Johnson. So those are the announcements. The last few things before I bring Caverly on. If you're new to Sangha Live, Caverly is going to lead a 30-minute meditation, and then she loves to have dialogue with you. You can ask me to come on screen with her in the sidebar, or you can type in a question. And finally, all of this is possible because of the generosity of this community. If you can donate financially today, please do. There's a green button right here. These teachings wouldn't be possible without the support. So thank you. And now I'm going to bring Caverly back on. All right.
Hi, Janice.
Hello.
Thank you.
Yep, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Friends, hello. I'm so grateful to be here. Hello, hello. Hi, Joyce and John and Nancy, Richard, Janet, Eric, Susan, Linda, Jim from Charlottesville. Hi. And John. because I see a couple of folks here, Falls Church, Virginia, a few from Charlottesville. Those that don't know, Charlottesville is my hometown. Just to acknowledge that I'll be teaching soon through the Charlottesville Insight Meditation community. And actually, Janice, I think it'd be lovely if you could look that up and post that in the sidebar. For those of you in that time zone, it's actually pretty soon, I think maybe even next week. So I neglected to remember that this morning when Janice and I were talking about upcoming events. So it's the talk. I'll be giving a talk at the Charlottesville Insight Meditation Community, and I'm excited to be participating in a collaborative retreat in the fall, September. So, and hello from Lisbon. Wow, I forgot that I knew, Peter, that you lived in Portugal, but I don't think I realized it was Lisbon. I have lovely memories of being in Lisbon. There's the link for the webinar with Michelle Cassandra Johnson today. Good morning, Charlie from California. As you're saying hello, letting me know where letting the community know where you're calling in from, if you would, continue with that just for a few moments. What's alive for you this morning? What are you practicing with? As if you're new today, just know that sometimes I come in with a quote, sometimes I come in with a poem, sometimes I start with nothing, and then we collectively watch what arises from there. And today I actually woke with something that arose that I will be sharing with you at the beginning of the meditation. In a sense, it's a response to being told in spiritual practice that the right answer is to let go. So I wanted to share with you what came to me upon waking this morning. Curiosity and gratitude. Thank you, Charlie. Janice, thanks for posting that anti-racism event. And Janice, thank you. It's July 7th. So yes, right around the corner, I'll be doing an online teaching through the Charlottesville Insight Meditation Community. So I hope you'll join me there if that's your time zone. I'm grateful, as I mentioned, to be here. And Kiki, hello, I hope you're feeling better. Hello from Granada. Great to see you. We missed you at class last night. Folks, I offer a Wednesday evening class through Presence Collective. So for those of you who'd like to join a Zoom, more intimate setting, in which I get to see you as well, do check that out via my website. Joyce, gratitude and connection. Lovely. What else is alive for you this morning? Friends, as you come to the seat of practice, as you settle in, I'm so glad, Kiki. Thanks for letting us know that. Glad you're back. As we're looking to see if, hello from Cluny, France. Hello, welcome. So we're looking to see if anyone else would like to share what's alive, what you're present to this morning. Spend just a moment noticing the body, coming into the position that works for you for a 30-minute sit. Noticing whether you're called to make any adjustments, and of honoring the body. Ellen, gratitude from East Bay, California. Welcome. All right, friends. We shall sit. Sharon, before I ring the bell, I just want to acknowledge Michael and Sharon are glad to be here. We're working on sacred pauses, especially after yesterday's meditation. Lovely, lovely. And Nikki, sitting with inner emotional pain. Thank you for naming that, sharing that. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, as you settle in, take 3 of the longest and deepest, most full inhalations and exhalations you've taken yet today. As we often do in these meditations, simply noticing what's here now, perhaps even framing it the way we have on many mornings by acknowledging what part of you is up. Perhaps the inner mother in you is overwhelmed by the ebbs and flows of child rearing. Perhaps you're sitting with emotional pain, the part of you who's wanting to be with that, face that, rather than run from it. Perhaps you're recognizing the part of you that sometimes resists sacred pauses. Or as arose in yesterday's meditation, perhaps the part of you is up who's afraid of stillness and silence, who feels like that openness is simply openness for the list of shortcomings to arise. An airing of flaws. Perhaps a part of you who's agitated is here. And if you're new to practicing with me, just know that often I'll refer to parts of us simply as a way to acknowledge that that's not the totality of our experience. To begin to open the door to the realization, for example, that I am not angry. A part of me is angry. A part of this current life experience is expressing itself as anger. I am aware of that experience. I am presence. Many of us along a spiritual pathway hear with great regularity the answer is to let go. Sometimes that triggers the formation of a part of us that then tries to let go by pushing away life experience or avoiding it or hating it, resisting it. In that, holding on gets a bad name. So I wanted to speak today to holding on in response to being told to let go. This came upon waking. If you are going to hold on to your love of justice. Hold on to your love of truth. Hold on to possibility, faith, and your inherent capacity to remember who you truly are. Soon it will be revealed. You belong to all of these things. All of these things belong to you. You will see and know. You cannot be teased apart from what you value most and what you long for. If you are going to hold on to your love of justice. Hold on to your love of truth. Hold on to possibility, faith, and your inherent capacity to remember who you truly are. Soon it will be revealed. You belong to all of these things. All of these things belong to you. You will see and know you cannot be teased apart from what you value most and what you long for. Allow yourself in this moment to see, feel, and touch something that you deeply long for. If you're having trouble finding something, coming upon, touching something you deeply long for, just know that we all deeply long to be happy, to be free. You could work with that. See, feel, touch, and know something you deeply long for. As you touch this longing, see specifically, what is this thing that I long for? What is this happiness, for example? How would I know if I had it? What's the quality or tone of this happiness? Or what's the felt experience of this freedom? Fill in the blank with what word arose for you to represent what you most deeply long for. With sweet, loving attention, move into that experience. Don't simply stand back from afar, describing the experience. Move into the experience. Trust that this call for the experience was coming from the experience itself. You've heard this call. Respond, move in. Walk through the door. Touch, see, feel, and be this experience. notice any habitual tendency to pull away from this experience and observe it from the outside rather than rest within it. And if this feels inaccessible this morning, if you feel caught in resistance or aversion, simply ask, notice from this resistance, what do I long for? What do I want? And again, with sweet gentleness, with love, move toward that experience again by allowing yourself to hear its call. As if the thing you long for most was whispering, calling, come home. Come home. Come home. This home isn't a secret place in the middle of a enchanted forest with 4 walls and a roof. It's not a home that can be burned down or lost forever. As you enter, as you rest here at home, allow yourself to see, feel, and touch the truth that this home is you. That what you've been longing for is you in the deepest sense, not you, this body mind, not you, this house with walls and a roof. But you, this true nature, this inherent shining, luminous being. This presence. You are this presence. Friends, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being. As many of you know, this is when I'm asked to remind you to donate to support teachings, this practice, these practices in flourishing in the world by giving to Sangha Live if you're able. Green button below. What's here now, friends? You could write a little something in the sidebar. You could put a question in the question box. As Janice underlined, and as those of you who come daily know, I love to get to chat in person as much as we can be in person. As much as we can simulate in person, I love to chat. So if you're up for coming online, that would be great. You could just let Janice know there in the sidebar. So what's here now? What shall we discuss? There's never a requirement to speak or to write. It's absolutely permissible that we continue to simply be together, to sit together in being. Joyce, I thought of inner peace. It's lovely to experience it, feel it. But as soon as I start thinking about the state of the world and how many people are not at peace, I get pulled out of peace. You've touched on this before, but could you speak more about how I can be at peace when others aren't? Joyce, I think that's a tremendous question, and I very much appreciate you writing it in. The place we all get stuck is in claiming the peace as mine. It's in owning the peace. So what tends to happen is that we touch our shared being, and then the ego enters stage left and says, "This is my peace." As soon as that flag is planted, as soon as there's that claiming, "This is mine," thinking of that Lord of the Rings, my precious. As soon as that experience that's not actually an experience at all is something inherent. It's like saying the space we exist in is an experience, but we name touching that, feeling that, knowing that as an experience. And as we do, so that's the beginning. Oh, this is an experience. I am experiencing this. I like this. I want this. I want to keep this. I own this. This is my peace. We go down, now I'm being a little dramatic, but it could be much more subtle than that, but we go down that route. And then as we do, the next thing that arises for so many of us is, well, that's selfish of you. How could you have that? Look around the world. Other people don't have that. If you're focused on that, then you're ignoring what's happening in the world. You're cruel, you're mean, you're selfish, you're cut off, you're spiritually bypassing. In all of that drama, we forget to question, who is it that claimed this peace in the first place? Who owned it? Fortunately, that experience can't actually be owned or grabbed onto and kept tucked away on a shelf somewhere, bottled up, saved for a rainy day. Remember, friends, this is an experience that's inherent. It is the backdrop of all experience. No matter how difficult our lives, that peace is primary, fundamental. Ever present. So the greatest gift we can give another is to touch what's inherent and true. And to, from there, invite others to remember as well. Not even to join us as if they are separate and need to come to our house, these four walls, this roof, my house. But to remember shared being as well. To touch that, to know that. To live that. Joyce, thank you so much for that question. It's a really good one, and it's hopefully clarifying. To have inquiry around it, clarifying, to explore it. Thank you. Charlie, I felt my presence as a playful, silly kind of love. Love for travel and connection mostly. Beautiful. Charlie, just as a practice, release the objects. Let go of travel, connection, ice cream, right? Whatever we would put on the other end of that love. It's just simply from the perspective of awareness practice, so that we're not confused that experience of love, that knowing of love, has something to do with the content, is fixed to the content. But you are right. As we rest in that truth of shared being or love, or however you want to talk about it, as we rest there, it is true. We then tend to be in touch with the way in which life overflows with its own love of manifestation. Simply because it can. Think of a forest after there's been a fire. Think of the life force of the regeneration. Charlie, thank you. Sharon Can you say more about our parts and perhaps processes these parts engage in and how to release them? Well, Sharon, that's a somewhat large question. It's a good question, but I could go so many different directions. Sharon, I know in the past you've been willing to come on screen. Let me know if you're up for that today. It'd be great to bring you on if you're open to it. Thank you, Sharon. Wonderful. Glad you're willing, up for that. And Janice, if you wouldn't mind bringing on Sharon, that would be great. Thank you again for your service. Sharon, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me push this back a little bit. Hi. Hi, Caverly.
Hi, Sharon.
So Michael and I are going through the 4 sets of sessions on the processes, and you were talking, yeah, you were talking about our part, and so I am kind of at the point where I'm starting to see the processes that are happening and name them and get some distance from them, but I don't feel released.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first, pay close attention to your desire to have a specific felt experience be the indicator of good practice. So I just want to begin by revealing that most of us have this tendency to say, well, if I were doing this right, I would feel like this. Or if I were seeing all these processes, I would feel like this. Or if I was really able to let them go, I would feel like this. Remember, I say remember, but you may have never heard me mention this before, but I have mentioned in several different contexts that because of our work with peace in schools, I know a little bit about the various studies in mindfulness that have happened. And we have our own study, as you know, through Johns Hopkins that's about to be released. It's often the case that teens who first start experiencing mindfulness, and adults as well for that matter, as you ask them about their experience of like anger or sadness or whatever reactivity might be arising, as they start practicing mindfulness, the score for how much anger or sadness might be there or whatever emotional experience rises in many cases. But actually what's going on is they're simply more present to seeing that for what it is. So it's absolutely fine if right now, as you explore some of these processes, it feels like it's just stirring things up a bit and there's not really release around it. So I just want to start with that. That's part A. Part A could be summed up in one sentence. That is fine as it is. Okay, then there's part B. Part B is what you might likely find helpful is to pay close attention to what part of me is the recipient of all of this swirling. And Joyce, thank you for drawing folks' attention to the fact that these sessions about process versus content can be found at the Sangha Live website or my YouTube channel. And they are May 21st, 22nd, 25th, and 26th. So if you're new to practicing with us, you might find those helpful, or at least you'll know what Sharon and I are talking about. So there's all of that swirling. There are our conditioned processes at play. Who's at the center of that? Who's the sort of missing person that sometimes we haven't even seen? What can you say about that experience, Sharon? And actually, I can frame it in this way in this moment. How do you feel when you're in the center of that swirl, that suffering swirl? How do you feel?
Aggravated.
Aggravated? What's under the aggravation? So the aggravation might have what self-talk? Something like, this is annoying. I don't want this to be happening.
Maybe a little bit more like, oh, this is so much. There's too much here, and
Too much.
It's more than I can let go. It's more than I can even.
It's more than I can see. It's more than I can be with. It's more than I can let go. It's too much. Okay, good. So first you can see there's some aggravation. Maybe that's like a teenager. This is annoying, whatever, I'm aggravated. Underneath that is, it's too much. It's overwhelming. Have you ever been aggravated with someone you love and then you realize actually under that aggravation is just overwhelm. It's just, I don't know how to work with what is right now. Right? So that's maybe coming in.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's a younger part of you, perhaps. So we just keep tracing back until we get in touch with what part of me is feeling the brunt of all of this, stuck in all of this, suffering. What do they need? That's the question you can ask.
This was the question that you asked me to work with last time we talked, and I have done that. And I often feel like I'm getting back, like I guess possibly even a pre-verbal child, just a child that just wants to be held and safe.
Sharon, then you've been practicing in such a way that what is primary has gotten revealed. Those are words that you're giving to that felt sense of an initial illusion of separation. I'm not part of, I want to come home, or I want to be held, I want to belong. That's beautiful. It's beautiful because the seat from which that recognition is happening is the home that you long for. In this moment, go to the experience, Sharon, of seeing this young part of you that wants to be held. Go to the experience of seeing her through the eyes of compassion, not through judgment, not through, oh, why are you always crying? Just seeing her. The way you'd see any young child that you love. Close your eyes just for a moment if you're comfortable with it. And just see her innocence, her goodness, her sweetness. Sometimes we get stuck when we try to force ourselves to be the one that's going to go hold her. Just allow her to be held.
Oh.
Allow her to rest at home.
My goodness, that really is a very different experience than trying to, I think maybe I was trying to create the mother that was going to hold.
Let that go right now. You've heard me talk about the practice of reassurances. That's one practice. Right now, it's triggering some part of you that's habituated to feel like you have to go do something. Let that go. Just allow this child to be held in awareness, conscious, compassionate awareness.
That is so lovely. It's just lovely.
So relieving, you said?
I said lovely, but yes,
Lovely.
definitely.
Lovely. Yeah, it just clicked out for a second there for me on my end. But yes, lovely. It is lovely when we directly experience the remembrance of home.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you had to do or you had to make up or you had to create.
I've been trying to do that for a long time, to create the mother that this one needed. And I yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Caverly.
Sharon, thank you. I'm so glad you called in. Thank you. Friends, we're at our time. Janice, thank you for your service. Again, Sharon, thank you for calling in. It's such a delight for me when I get to be in direct communication with folks. So thank you, and many blessings until tomorrow.